She was allergic to all these different foods. And in this one example, it gave her a really great excuse to continue with her eating disorder because somehow she was intolerant. Somehow some of the issues that she had were related to the fact that she had an intolerance to a food. So you can imagine what she did. She now said, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, and I can't eat that because it all came back as part of my diagnostic testing. So that poor young woman had her eating disorder made worse because she had a promise of an easy fix. All I have to do is take this hair test. All I do is have to take a blood test and someone is going to diagnose me with what I'm intolerant to, and that's going to explain my weight loss. It gave her that open door to say, you know what, I don't really have to make any changes in my eating habits because I've got this easy fix. So as consumers, we have this really difficult roadmap of how do I avoid some of these products. Well, it's going to go back to the adage, if it's too good to be true, it is. All of the conditions that we're describing, whether it's cancer or cardiovascular disease, whatever it is, all require some work and effort on our part. If I set out to lose 100 pounds, I am going to be hungry, I am going to have to exercise, and I am going to have to make behavioral choices every single day in order to make my goal of losing weight come true. So exercise and diet do work, and so that's why they don't end up on this list of health fraud from the Food and Drug Administration. So credible websites and source of nutrition education do exist, and credible sources for fitness information do exist. One great resource is my parent organization, the American Dietetic Association. And that website is www.eatright.org, and all of these websites are going to be in your guidebook. It is the premier food and nutrition website. So you can go log on to that website and they'll give you the nutrition tip of the day. There's handouts and information on functional foods, dieting tips. One of my favorite things on the American Dietetic Association website is actually diet book reviews. So if you see a really great diet book and you think, this sounds great, but wait a minute, it sounds like it might be a little fraudulent. Every year, spokespeople from the American Dietetic Association review these diet books and give you their view on the books that are out there. And I think some of them might surprise you. When it comes to exercise, it is the American College of Sports Medicine, which is www.acsm.org. It is the premier fitness organization, premier. So if you want to find out this latest trend that a trainer is telling you, is it valid, is it not valid, you can go log on to the American College of Sports Medicine and oftentimes find reviews. You can find information if you take multiple medications for a chronic condition. Is it even safe for you to exercise? And please keep in mind really credible sources of nutrition and fitness information for you directly as a consumer is, again, are you getting recommendations from your physician? The federal government also has a host of nutrition and activity websites with outstanding consumer information. Certainly the Centers for Disease Control, www.cdc.gov, have conditions. If you have diabetes, if you have arthritis, they have information on obesity management. Solid, reliable information. So if you remember, the internet sites can have really outstanding information down to fraudulent. Here's a really great example of outstanding information is the CDC. They also have on there what is called a BMI calculator. And we're going to explore BMI throughout this series of lectures. But BMI is a way of looking at your height in relationship to weight and determining, are you overweight, are you normal weight, or are you obese? And so the CDC would be a logical place for you to go and get some information. Certainly you can also go to, again, that FDA website, Food and Drug Administration, at www.fda.gov. And what I like about this website is it gives you information on recall information. So certainly when something gets recalled, say for example the peanut butter scare with salmonella, you could go on the FDA website and find all the products that were made with that recalled peanut butter. There are consumer warnings. Is a product out there safe? Is it not safe? Is there some warning about a diet supplement that's out there? And certainly we've all looked at the contaminated food outbreaks, the peanut butter, pistachios, spinach, all the food contaminations. The FDA website is going to be a great place to go. Certainly the Food and Nutrition Information Center of the U.S. Department of Agriculture provides the dietary guidelines for Americans. And so this is general information on what is the current state of the science related to food and nutrition. So if you want to find out what our roadmap is, the general information, here's another way, here's another consumer bulletin for you on how to get those dietary guidelines. Certainly lots of other credible nutrition and health-related websites are listed in your guidebook. And again, your family doctor is going to be a great example of how do you get good and accurate nutrition information as well as counseling. Well, what kind of policies and public health guidelines have been promoted for Americans? Well, certainly we can take a look at some of the things that have happened in the 20th century that have significantly improved our health. And I'm only going to highlight a couple of them for you because I think they're great public health examples. In 1924, salt was fortified with iodine for the prevention of goiter. And that really significantly reduced the number of Americans who developed goiter. I remember my mother describing the goiter belt around the Great Lakes, where relatives of hers actually had goiter because there was no natural iodine in the soil. In 1933, milk was first fortified for vitamin D to prevent rickets. I would argue and kind of give you a little heads up on what's coming, that certainly I believe that the vitamin D level that's in milk now probably isn't enough, but in 1933, it was really forward thinking to link vitamin D and rickets. In the 1940s, we also had policies that were enacted to establish a standard of identity for foods claiming to be enriched. If the product was enriched, it must contain thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, and iron. And so things that you might see on your shelves now is when you go and look at, say, for example, a loaf of bread or white rice, you're going to see that it is enriched with these missing nutrients. Keep in mind that when that product was milled and we took off that outer bran layer, a lot of these nutrients that were naturally occurring in that food were lost, and now we enrich them or add them back. Certainly, in the response to the science linking folic acid deficiency in pregnant women to neural tube defects in that developing fetus, a standard of identity was updated to include this nutrient as part of this enrichment program in 1998. This is a major public health initiative. It took a long time to get this enacted because in 1998 we were looking at, is this going to cause any harm if we add more folic acid? Is it going to cause any harm? But what are the benefits? And the benefits have been really pretty significant in terms of reducing the number of neural tube defects, spina bifida, and ancephaly that were certainly major public health concerns for pregnant women. Certainly, nutrition labeling laws, school lunch mandates, and dietary guidelines for Americans are all examples of public health policies intended to improve the health of Americans. But not all policies have the intended outcome, and the most notable is the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994. In my opinion, I think this piece of legislation had an intention, but no one really thought about the consequence. And some of the problems that we have with dietary supplements in this country now are related to the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. This piece of legislation allows manufacturers the ability to make what is called a structure-function claim, such as calcium can contribute to bone health. This product cannot say calcium prevents osteoporosis. That is a disease claim, but they can link structure and function. So you could think of another example for someone with HIV, promotes immune health. They can't say used for the treatment of HIV disease. Can't say that, but when you go to the health food store, oftentimes you find, unfortunately, the disease connection, not the structure function claim, but the disease connection. This has also shifted the burden of purity, safety, and efficacy from the manufacturer to the federal government, to the FDA. That is not the way pharmaceuticals are regulated in this country. Pharmaceuticals must show purity, safety, and efficacy before it can reach the market. That is not true with dietary supplements. In fact, it's reverse. So what that means is the FDA has to prove a supplement is dangerous versus the manufacturer proving it is safe. And think of the Pandora's box that opens. What that means is a supplement manufacturer, and there are lots and lots of really good supplement companies in the United States, but let's use the example of an unscrupulous company coming in, they put a product on the market, there are adverse events associated with it, and it gets removed. They've come in and made a significant amount of money, and then they pull it out. Well, I think that's honestly a tragedy for the American consumer, because now you have to second guess the safety and the purity of a supplement, and you got to ask yourself the question, is it safe or pure for me? And the answer is maybe yes, maybe no. And I think, again, that is a real challenge for the American consumer. Some recent examples is that 49 out of 61 weight loss pills have been inaccurately labeled. I want you to think about that. If you go and buy a weight loss supplement over the counter, you're standing the chance that that product is inaccurately labeled. So for example, there have been weight loss products that have been laced or adulterated with prescription medications. Well, maybe you don't want to take a prescription weight loss aid that raises your blood pressure because your blood pressure is already high. You might not want to do that, but in taking product X, this all-natural, all-safe and pure product, you've inadvertently taken a prescription medication. Similarly to that family that didn't want to take a prescription antidepressant, I'm sure they didn't want to take strychnine. An example is there's a product that has been all over the news called Star Caps. As a weight loss aid, had an undeclared diuretic, which was linked with electrolyte abnormalities. So say, for example, you're a patient who has congestive heart failure and you are not wanting to take any more diuretic than what has been prescribed, but you decided to go buy this product, and on the label there was no warning for you as a consumer. Absolutely no warning that, lo and behold, you're taking something as a weight loss aid that has an undeclared diuretic, and you're also taking a diuretic that was prescribed by your physician. And both of you, your physician and you, would not know by taking that product that you've doubled up on diuretic and now have caused significant health risk to you. Certainly in my world of professional sports, we've had 6 NFL players that will be suspended because they were taking this product because it's banned by the NFL. They are not allowed to take a diuretic in order to make weight. And so now these men will lose 25% of their salary. 25% of their salary for something that they didn't know had an undeclared diuretic. So again, to me as a consumer and as a registered dietitian, I scratch my head and say, how did we get there? Well, we got there because of the unintended consequence of the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. Well, some other questions that I usually get about websites and good sources of nutrition information are, what about those that are linked with medical schools? Those are great websites. If it's linked with another reputable organization, you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to get really good information. So a couple of examples that I can give you is that some of the premier cancer information actually comes from the Sloan Kettering website, MD Anderson website, 2 premier institutions involved in the management of cancer. So for example, on their websites, they will have information about herbal supplements and dietary supplements that are really targeted in for the cancer patient. So I will tell you, stay tuned. We're going to have some really exciting information coming up in future lectures that are also going to help you to separate the nuts from the berries. Thank you.